Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Her and Her Dean. I am Sister Alisa Salah-Dean, and welcome. If you are new to the channel, please go ahead and show your sister some love. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel so that you can get the notifications. Make sure you hit the notification bell. As I do post, I'm working on the schedule. Please forgive me, but y'all, if you ain't new to Facebook, you already know. It is a challenge just to get right here, especially if you have a full life, you know, and you are a real person and you are making real content that comes from the reservoir of your substance. It is a process. Please bear with your girl. But I am working on creating a content schedule to post regular content. For now, you will get what you get when you get it. But hit the notification bell so you can get it when I post it. Mashallah. Anywho, so welcome back. So today for the chat, I went back to my other video and like I said, I really do have to reconceptualize everything that I've shared, because believe it or not, this is a shock. When you express yourself out loud, you really are hearing yourself for the first time, sometimes the second or third time, depending on what you're saying, because you really can hear yourself. And so I go back and I revisit what I've said, what I've shared, to make sure that one is in alignment with my authentic self, and I'm comfortable with having basically peeled off that layer of myself and giving it, you know, to you all to, inshallah, God willing, find a part of yourself that it resonates with. It's not just, you know, giving it out hoping that it resonates. Inshallah, God willing, you are finding some of your own interpersonal self substance, you know, being triggered enough to say, you know what, let me work on some stuff with myself. Because in all truth, you know, the womanhood journey is an actualization. It's actually happening. We are actually coming into so many parts of ourselves that we didn't even know existed, that we're almost either caught off guard by it or pushed to a level of being uncomfortable and having to reacclimate our level of comfort to whatever we just discovered. And so today, this video, I specifically want to focus on the purging. Excuse me, not sexy, but it's necessary. The purging, specifically purging, because what I realized in one, setting up the self-inquiry for the sisters, you know, we are not just supposed to be like getting rid of stuff. You know, when I went and looked up the definition of purge, I saw the synonyms were to remove, get rid of, clear out, exclude. And those were the verbs. Then I looked at the nouns. The nouns were to renew, eject, evict, and clearance, right? And I thought about clearance, and I'm like, why do they always sell stuff when it's supposed to be just given out in clearance? But that's neither here nor there. That's some retail therapy, analytical process and stuff. I was thinking, like, they always make us pay, like, for clearance. They don't ever just give it to us. They ain't never just throwing it out, right? So whatever. I'm gonna let them make it with that. However, I realized, you know, we are, it's not just a purge. It is the purging, because what I wish to, one, encourage my sisters to do is to make it a purification process. Like, make it a purification process. Don't just go in there tearing stuff out, you know, your substance, reevaluating yourself, you know, and not putting something back or not preparing yourself for something. You know, these are vessels. We are vessels. We are living inside of what is said to be one of the holiest vessels given by the grace of God, the grace of Allah, the grace of Yah. We are living inside of those vessels. And with that being said, it is an intentional thing that we go inside of ourselves after having lived for so long and discard some of these pieces that no longer serve us, no longer serve our highest good, no longer is applicable substance for us, and then put the applicable substance that we want in there. You know, that's where we are going with this purging. And so I wish to emphasize it not just as a getting rid of, but how about an actual getting rid of specific things to put specific things back in, you know? And so we're coming into a realization as women, and it's not just me. I know it's not just me. I talk to sisters regularly. I talk to my own personal sisters, and I have sisters all over the world. And what I've come to share in the collective womanhood journey is that we're all coming from my mother, my grandmother did it this way, and I'm supposed to do it this way, but I don't really know how to do it the way they did it, or how to maintain it at the level in which they say I'm supposed to be doing it. And so we're going to leave that in the mother and grandmother substance box. Literally, we're going to put everything in little boxes from this point on. We're going to let we're going to let mom have her stuff. We're going to let grandmama have her stuff. And we're only going to work on our own stuff. Whatever stuff you've acquired from your experience that is not attached to your mother and your grandmother's history, legacy, expectations, put that beautiful substance in a box, label it grandmother, label it mother, and put it somewhere on a shelf, put it in a mantle, put it away, and just leave it be. Don't put it in yourself. Don't allow it to be the substance that keeps stirring and churning away at you. And this is why. We live in a world where we're pushed and poked and prodded to be emotionally responsible for things that are not ours, you know, and I say that intentionally. The world that we live in, the actual world outside of you, is the world that you live in. It is basically conflicting with the internal substance of who you are. And I'm sad to be the bearer of truth, but I'm okay with it because I've accepted it for myself, so I'm able to share with my sisters. For the level of authenticity of me requires that I tell the truth to my sisters. For God is great. The world knows that it's doing it. They know that they're driving you emotionally crazy. They know that they're driving you to the brink of insanity. However, they are not responsible for making sure that you understand you. And that's where your work comes in to play. That's why you have to do it. That's why you have the due diligence of operating your full vessel and making sure that you only put inside of yourself what you want. You know? And so at this stage, it's like we're operating from a place of emotional distress, meaning we're always trying to figure out what's going on. Why is this happening? Why me? What about this? Who said that? This person wants and or is saying blah. All of that stuff is not your stuff. It's normally the residue of something that someone else experienced that is being outwardly projected into this great big world mass media consciousness. And it's just, we're getting caught up in it. And not only some of us are not just getting caught up in it, but we're actually internalizing it. We're actually bringing more of it into our life. We're actually allowing ourselves to stay in toxic experiences and have toxic conversations and support toxic bandwagons. And we don't really want that for ourselves. It's not even applicable at this point to who we really see ourselves as down the road. It's just a part of an experience that we're having, and we don't know how not to basically attach it to ourselves. And so I said all of that, and we have to now address it. So I'm gonna do my best to make it in bite-sized pieces for you, as small as I can, preferably within like the next 10 minutes. The babies are asleep, so I am working. Focus. Mustafa does that. Focus, mommy, I see you. Focus. So we're gonna focus. So I did write some things down. And remember, I said emotional distress. You can go and look up emotionalism. You can go and look up emotional temperamentalism. You can go and look up emotional intelligence. You can go and look up emotional and look at distress. Then put them together. And then you will see what I mean for yourself. So that's your homework if you need homework. However, I use the word emotional distress in conjunction with understanding hormonal stress and triggers. Triggers normally being things that you've experienced and nobody knows that they happen but you. And you're holding it in there and nobody knows that it's in there but you. And then you go into an environment and you have your triggers and the environment is already stress-filled. Hormonally, that is the experience of having ovaries at this point. I mean, everybody has hormones, but I think the woman is specifically set up to have this hormonal fluctuation. So keeping that in mind, we're using hormonal stress and triggers. Remember, nobody knows your triggers but you. And so I say that to amplify the emotional distress part. Having triggers automatically sets you up to have a certain level of anxiety or even depression, just whatever mental health ailments you can think of. Having triggers automatically keeps you in this very safeguarded place in yourself that says, I don't do this because, I can't do this because, or every time I do this, this happens. And so we're going to disarm those triggers just a little bit. And the goal is actually to learn them. That's the goal. When you have triggers, you need to learn what those experiences are that even set them up to begin with. This is a part of the purging that you need, that I'm taking even for myself. It's a continuous journey. Let's be realistic. The journey of womanhood is not happening overnight. You are not arriving at the goal. The goal. Make a little holistic piece every day. We're not just going to arrive there. We've lived a life of significant trials, tribulations, struggle. Now we are persevering, or at least we're striving to persevere at this life. So understanding that we've now had this experience that have put things on us that we don't really understand. Like, you acquire triggers from having bad experiences or even good experiences that seem to have intertwined themselves with a bad experience. Triggers are not designated to one thing or another. Like, any part of life can have set up the triggers that you have, but this is why you have to sit with yourself and go and look at it. Look at whatever you consider your triggers to be. Disarm them. Once you identify them, disarm them, and then put something else there. Put yourself in a better mental place with those triggers. The reason why this is imperative, everything about your emotional distress that's triggered by hormonal stress and your triggers contribute to weight gain. It contributes to your eating habits. It contributes to, if you're a parent, how you parent your children. It contributes to how you are a mate to your mate, how you arrive and show up in your union. It contributes to how you even feel about serving the God in which you've chosen to serve for giving you this vessel. We are living in such a complex environment outside of ourselves that it is complexing even more the substance of us. And so having hormonal stress triggers is a chemical imbalance. Most people don't really understand how they get depression, how they have anxiety, how they, battle with different eating disorders, whether you're thin or thick or stupid thick, as we like to call it where I'm from. Nobody really understands this dynamic that is a part of womanhood that allows us to have this continuous absorption of toxicity. It's in the emotional distress. It is a part of having lived a life, going through it, not stopping, not pausing, not taking inventory of yourself, your substance, what you want, what you don't want, and how to acquire and or not acquire those things. What you want, you learn how to acquire it. What you don't want, you learn how not to acquire it, and better yet, how to avoid it altogether. Like, birth control is not for everybody, but abstinence is by far the cheapest and easiest way not to get pregnant. And you don't lose nothing. Like, you don't lose no sleep. You don't have to worry about, this back and forth relationship type deal, the entanglement and all of that exchange type of stuff, sacred energy exchanging type stuff, having sex. So you learn your own boundaries on your own terms to help you meet what is a goal or an expectation. It's yours to choose. It's yours to make it. It's yours to protect your vessel. And it is an actual skill that is yet to be mastered by you. I'm just saying, like, you don't want no babies, you will get good at whatever it takes, And so disarming your emotional body is like, it's like putting on a new coat of armor. You have figured out where, if it was childhood, if it was family, friends, people from school, if you can pinpoint it to a specific time period in your life and learn what it was that set you off, disarm that trigger, put something amazing there, not to guard yourself from the trigger, but to tell yourself, when these things happen to me, it's not that experience. I'm actually over that experience. Now I just have a boundary that I'm going to implement that won't allow me to have someone doing these type of things to me. And they don't know that they're doing it. We give ourselves back a power that we don't even know is a real power. Like, it is really a power to own your authenticity and a badge, like a shield, like literally. You think about every part of the anatomy of the human body having a specific criteria and due diligence for your health. And when we tap in to our stress level and our hormonal triggers, learning the emotional distress of our own experiences, it alleviates the stress on the body some kind of way. I can't explain all of it, not yet. I'll study a little more, and maybe one day I'll share it, and inshallah. But it's there, and it's slowly creating what we know now as dis-ease, hypertension, thyroidism, hair loss, fluctuating weight loss and weight gain. And when you have certain things like a thyroid issue, I have a thyroid issue myself, I battle with periodically, from allowing my biggest thing that pushes me over is when I don't pay attention to what I've eaten over a duration of time. I run low on the nutrients, and I don't really understand how I do it when I'm vegan, or how I do it when my world is completely within the scope of my, control. But what I've come to understand is having a life that's very full, serving God on my own terms, under my own understanding, and my own study and due diligence, raising my children to serve God, to know God, to understand the religion that we've served, to be a part of being a pillar in society and being loving children at their ages and in their differences, and having a husband and being a care provider and nurturer and all of the things at home that allow him to go out into the world and be a man. I pick up a lot of the hormonal stuff. I'm the one who has to carry the load, and I'm the one who's often having to, you know, push a little bit harder for myself to make sure that everybody else's needs are met. I felt my distress. I felt my hormonal, my hormonal dis-ease, because I miss my own signals. I miss my own timeout. You know, I miss all of those little dings and whistles that go off and tell me, hey, you need to chill, you need to sit down, you need to soak your feet, you need to do something for yourself. I miss those. And when I miss those, it costs me. That's normally when my thyroid kicks in, and it takes me 3 days to reset myself, you know. And so I say that with a great feeling of pride, because I understand it enough now to know what to do. I still miss it, but at this stage, I am comfortable enough with it. I understand it and I acknowledge it, because I take full ownership that it's my responsibility to know these things about myself and my health. If not for myself, for my children. If not for my children, for my husband, because they depend on me. I depend on me, you know. And so I really do wish to, inshallah, have set up some sort of inquiry in all the things that I've said, so that you could sit with yourself and start to, you know, purge your substance. Not just purging to remove things, but to put things there that you want. The things that you don't understand about yourself, you have to figure them out, sister. You literally have to take your time with yourself. If you're living a journey and you have the opportunity just to say, pack a bag, what is it that you want to take with you? What is it you don't want to take with you? When you look at your life experience, how many experiences did you live through that you wish you could have undid or not experienced at all? Take those things, those memories, and discard the memory. But if you wish to take that same trip, if it was a trip and by yourself or with specific people, why don't you make that plan to do that? Why don't you make the date? Why don't you, you know, save the date with a couple friends and take the trip? Take the trip by yourself. Maybe it's a retreat, a spa, a class. Maybe it's an instrument, maybe it's an art, maybe it's something, you know, you just need to fulfill whatever that emotional connection, that expression is in a healthy capacity. Do it for yourself. You don't have to make it the same thing. You know, the beauty of reciprocity. And I mean, I love reciprocity so much. My understanding of it has grown tremendously, just being one Muslim and two a Muslim woman. Reciprocity is not equal. It is not an equal exchange. It is an amazing exchange. And I say that because if you've done beautiful things for your children, there's no way that your children can give you what you've given them. But when they come in and they're so happy or so pleased to have seen what you've prepared for them, the look on their face oftentimes will make you just feel so full, like it was all worth it. You know, the husband, just sit tight, just hold, please, just allow me to finish the womanhood journey, and we're gonna go into the wifehood. We're gonna take the wifehood journey, you know. I promise not to make it messy for the men. However, the husband may never actually do and or be exactly as you want him to be, but his best is really his best. And sometimes his best, I suspiciously, the timing of it can't be more perfect, and that is enough to fill you up. Reciprocity is like that. You're doing your best, and then somebody out of nowhere or somewhere in your environment outside, random acts of kindness, all of that comes back and it pays itself. It pays you back for what you've put out. You make space in yourself doing this type of work for those type of experiences. You make that happen. just by you being good, by you being available. Emotional distress is making you unavailable to receive those type of blessings. You know, you have things that you've held on for too long in the wrong spaces, and somebody wants to pour into you, but you don't have no space. You have no space. And so understanding that, taking the journey of womanhood and learning how you've carried all this thing and creating your own purging. You've now said, you know what, I'm acknowledging what I went through wasn't okay. Excuse me. And not only was it not okay, I understand why it wasn't okay for me in my journey in my life. And this is what I want for myself moving forward instead of having that experience. You can do that. You have full rights over your vessel to do that. You don't have to carry nothing longer than is necessary inside of you, you know. And so if you need to take a bath, a shower, I highly recommend a cold shower. I mean, there are so many benefits. If you don't know, go look it up. Wim Hof. I've been studying it, and 3 out of 7 days, I literally temper my water to cold before I get out. And my body, I don't even know how, other than my body feels better. I cognitively just feel more alert after having ended my showers with a cold shower. And so, but you learn what you need. You have the right to change your own tools to help you grow stronger, to help you grow more responsible, more accountable for yourself, for your family, and for the world. Inshallah, you are someone. You know, you really are a part of a world. And there was somebody when I was in my 20s that said, for every one person you meet, there's 10 people waiting to meet you. That can't be more truer. If you're good to one person, that one person may feel so grateful that they can't wait to tell somebody about the experience that they had from you, that exchange that they had. You know, you're such a valuable component in your own life. You know, we all have our highs and our lows. So I'm not saying, yeah, you're gonna have great days. Yeah, it's going to be the time of your life. Excuse me. However, what I am acknowledging is if you do your own work for yourself, unpack some of your emotional stuff, remove it from yourself in such a way that you took time and care, you now have another testimony, you now have another story of perseverance, and you now have an opportunity to show up in a better way for yourself, for someone else. And that reciprocity thing, it's coming if it isn't already there waiting to be received, because you don't know where you are in your journey that somebody else is in their journey, and that is a match for an exchange that's pure positive, pure reciprocity. You owe me nothing. I wasn't looking for anything. Wow, such gratitude. I receive it with abundance. You have that capacity. You don't even have to work for it, sis. All you have to do is sit with yourself and unpack your stuff. If you don't have anything else to do in a day but sit down and write all of the things that you had happen to you, and take that book, that paper, and read it, and then right next to each one, change it. That's yours. You can do that, and it will emotionally, the burdens just of being able to see it and acknowledge it in your own handwriting, you should feel better about yourself. Because I'll tell you a secret. If you went through something and it was the worst thing that ever happened to you, it didn't kill you. Man, that's a good one though. I swear. That is it's a great feeling to me. When I think back in my own thoughts of experiences that are the worst. Sis, when I say the worst, I'm talking about the worst. I laugh to keep from crying because it's the significance of what we're going through in this life. You can't even make some of the things you've outlived make sense on your worst day, let alone to think it was horrible and you survived it. Why would you want to carry that any further? Why would you not want to give it to God and be grateful that you survived it and you have a testimonial of survival? Keeping it inside of yourself adds to your triggers. It adds to your emotional distress. It's a part of your hormonal stress on a regular basis. And remember, nobody knows your triggers are there. So you're allowing yourself to basically be injected with your own poison, which is your hormonal chemical fluctuation, all of those concoctions from all of those triggers, and you're just in this environment, allowing yourself to go through this cycle. Let's stop it. Let's work on a solution. Let's make a resolution before New Year's to do something about our own hormonal diseases, the things, the triggers, the experiences that have already passed us, that we have already been through, that are now just plaguing us in a mental capacity. You know, I'll say this, and I'll go on an esoteric level. They said that there's two emotional bodies. One's attached to the higher, one's attached to the lower of our energetics, right? Our electromagnetic field or aura. If you had to choose one state emotionally to live in, wouldn't you want it to be a higher one? You know, these are the choices we have to make every day. Every day. If not, then just remember that the way the world is set up, you know, they know that they're not feeding you the most healthiest content. They know that they're not feeding you the most healthiest choices when you go to eat. They know that they're not, you know, not making traffic go away, so they're promoting your stress level. They know all of the world is a part of the problem in so many ways, but it's not their job to be the solution for every single person. So we have to take a level of accountability when we put ourselves back out into the world to say, this is the experience I want to have. You run late, you need to learn to get early. Period. That's it. I don't know how to do it because my mom was always late. My mom is always late. I'll tell you guys something funny. My mom drives so fast. Like, I'll never forget being a kid. I used to be nauseous. She's like, does the brakes, like she slams the brakes so hard. Sorry, Mom. But, you know, some things is, again, like, remember we put things in boxes, right? Mommy and grandmommy stuff. I put my stuff in boxes, and so I get to laugh at it and not have to be mentally bothered and perplexed by the fact that it's something that I've grown up experiencing. I don't have to take it so literal and personal and feel so attacked by it. You know, we work at this womanhood journey. We work at this. It is all work. There's nothing not work about womanhood, you know, and so I hope I said something of substance, something of value, something of purpose for my sisters, you know. Again, if you're new to the channel, I'm Alanisa Sada. This is her and her dean. And the goal here is to make a little more holistic peace every day. And so, yeah, I hope I set up a self-inquiry for you. You know, my sisters, go and do your work, you know, look at your life and sit with the emotional distress of yourself, learn your triggers, you know, set yourself free and give yourself something in return. Don't take nothing away from yourself that you're not willing to put back twice its weight in gold, you know. And so if you're new to the channel, please like, comment, subscribe. You know, I'll be reading all the messages until they become overwhelming and abundant for me, where I can't keep up with them, inshallah. And until next time, thank you. Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Later.